Hey, everybody, welcome back to Men Cry in the Car podcast. As you know, today is episode 28. 28 episodes, almost 1 year. And I just want to say thank you for joining me. Thank you for watching our replays, asking questions or comments on it. We love y'all. Thank y'all so much. Again, if you are just now finding Men Cry in the Car podcast, what is it all about? It is where men are seen, heard, and supported. As you know, my husband was the muse for this podcast. He told me I was his safe space. I was like, you know what? What do you think men need? And he was like, men need a space where we can find our people, our tribe, our community, where we're heard, where we can feel brave, and like all the things, right? So that is like how Men Cry in the Car started. Anyway, as I continue to meet men in my life, in the community, in spaces that I take up space. So I don't know if you've ever heard of Jeremy Anderson. Shout out to Jeremy Anderson. But he has created a beautiful space for us, Next Level Speaking Academy. And I've met some great men in there. So today I'm bringing on one of my colleagues, counterparts, peers from Next Level Speaking Academy, and Mr. Adam Wilson. So this is the thing, you guys. I'm going to let him come on and talk about himself. However, I spoke to him a couple of days ago and I was like, sir, you have a story. So hopefully we'll get to hear a little bit more about that story and how he felt resilient and made his way through. But I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to bring on Mr. Adam. All right, let's bring him to the stage. Hey, Adam, what's up?
How's it going, Lynn? How's it going?
It's going great. It's going great. So, like I was telling you before, sometimes I can come on, I can be presentable. Today, I'm not. The children are out. It is spring break. We just finished cleaning the
Right.
garage and we are here. But I am so thankful for you to be here. Thank you so much for saying yes.
No
Okay.
problem, no problem. It's like we all have stories that need to be heard, and that's why God put us on this earth to share our stories and help people.
Absolutely. And I just thank you. Before we get started, can you just tell us who Adam Wilson is? I had to grab my water. Who Adam Wilson is? Before
Drum
you go
roll.
into before you go into your story, just share a little bit. I know because when I know you are a motivational speaker,
Yep.
you're an author, you're an influencer, you like these things, and those are the titles, but we want to hear about that too. But just give us a little bit of who Adam is.
Well, Adam's a fun-loving guy. To start off, I am a father, a husband, a motivational speaker, a holistic health coach, inspiring author. I'm actually writing my first book as we speak. Just a man just trying to make it through life.
A man is trying to make it through life, a man that has been through some things, right?
That's yeah.
That has been through some things. Where do we start? All right, let's start here. When I reached out to you and I told you a little bit about, Men Cry in the Car, what made you say yes to me?
I believe we need a space. That's one of the things that I talk to my wife about a lot is as men, we don't really have as many spaces as people think that we have, especially as Black men, right? And a lot of us have been hurt by women who we open up to, but they use it against us as ammunition. So there's already that wall there that men already have, and it takes a while for us to let it down because we're supposed to be strong, right? And growing up, especially 30 plus, we've all told, hey, suck it up, move on, keep going. And so now it's things are changing and we need a space where we can come talk to each other, have a good time and laugh and just help each other through all the times. Because it's hard being a man in America.
Just all of that, but then that last point you said it's hard being a man in America. How about
Yeah.
it's hard being a Black man in America
That
too?
part.
To put
Yeah.
even more frosting on the cake, right?
Hmm.
It is. First of all, I love Black people so much,
It's
so
hard
much.
not
Like
to.
Black people just hard not to for you and I, right? There are some that don't. Um,
Right.
it's just so. I told this guy before. I said I love Black men, but I love Black men and I love Black people because we are so yummy. It's like food to my soul.
Hmm.
It's like food to my soul. And then I want to say my hats off to Black men because I know personally and living through my husband and my brothers and my father what you guys go through.
Hmm.
I feel like there's no comparison to me. There's no comparison what the black woman has to go through, what the black man has to go through, because we both have hard times, environments, things that happen to us.
Definitely.
And when I look at the black man, and you tell me your experience too, or you tell me if I'm on it or off it, when I look at the black man, I feel like you guys have the hardest job in the world.
Oh, absolutely.
I feel like black women are the most undesirable, but I
Mm.
feel like black men have it so hard because the world wants to beat them up, the job wants to beat them up, this, and that. And sometimes the wife, the spouse, the sister, every
Mhm.
like there's no space. So what are your thoughts on that?
You're spot on. It is hard.
Yeah.
Like you said, even just leaving my house and going out into the world, you never really know.
Yeah.
And there, like me and my wife would be in the store, and I can see like the other like white women who look at me weird, and she would like give them the eyes like, "What? Like he ain't gonna do nothing. He's okay." And so I always laugh when she do it, and I was like, "That's just the reality of it. I don't let it bother me anymore, because
Mm.
it's I'm not doing anything. I'm just living my life, and if you're focusing on me, that's your problem. That got nothing to do with me." Right? But we do have it tough because it's people want to kill us, people want to lock us up, they're trying to stop us from growing. And then at the same time, you have to take care of your family. You got your mom who may need you, your wife. You never know what her family's bringing. It's so many different aspects to it, and it's hard. It really is.
What would you say is the hardest thing for you?
For a while, it was just keeping calm and kind of keeping my clarity. But I've learned through just meditation, reading the Bible, just being outside in nature that when I calm down more, it's easier for me to progress through with all of my different challenges. It's easier for me to think through it. But that was the hardest part for me for a while. And just kind of trying to figure out dad because how the dads that we got, the parents that we have, we don't necessarily want to be the same. We can get things from there, but we always try to be better. So you're trying to find ways to learn more about yourself, trying to grow and just continue on.
Oh God. And I don't know about you, but that was like one of the hardest things for me growing up, um, experiencing how my parents raised us,
Mhm.
having siblings. Like I have some siblings that are like baby boomers and everything. And just being in that space and feeling like, okay, let me go back just for a second. So my parents are old, okay?
Okay.
They're like silent generation, them. And then I have siblings that really could be my parents, okay? Um,
Okay.
I really do. And so they're the baby boomers, and then
Mhm.
trickle down, and then it's us. And so even through all that, even through the support I feel like I did have with like my siblings, I still didn't feel supported as much from my parents when it came to like emotionally, mentally feeling safe, even feeling safe in the home. And then you add that, and then now you're a black man, or you
Mhm.
have that, and then it's like, well, or you didn't have that, and then you still have to navigate through this thing called life.
Yep.
And it's like, I don't know what to do. I can do like contrary to what I learned, but what is that? So, what would you say like your childhood was, or like navigating through all that?
Uh, I would say my childhood was very traumatic for me. One, I was the youngest of three boys, and so my older siblings already look at me like I got everything, and I'm like I didn't. And then my dad got remarried and had another daughter, so I'm like kind of like the youngest and middle, depending on what side you're looking at. But my parents divorced when I was like in the second grade, so being that young, and now being on the adult side of it, I can see like a kid really does go through the divorce with the parent. There was a lot of fighting. I've seen my dad had to get stitches in his head because my mom hit him with a phone. My mom using me as a tool to kind of get back at him and not allow me to go places with him. So that took away a lot of like the father son time that I needed. And then just them fighting so much, it left an abandonment spell on me because they forgot about me. They didn't really make sure that we were good. They were just fighting so hard. But my dad, I can give him, he was trying to be there, but my mom was just that mad. So going through all that and then
Mm.
um not really getting what I needed, I don't know how to get that to my children, right? And so
Mm.
and then in the middle of the divorce, my dad ended up with his current wife now. So there's like this big change that I wasn't even able to let out. It was all internal. And
Mhm.
so translating up into my adulthood when I'm a dad now, it's for a while I was just doing what I was learning. And then I realized I was like, this isn't working. Like this isn't working for me. I don't even feel right doing this. And so I just always just tried to learn more and more about being a better dad and different ways and teaching my kids, and it's been working. I implementing small things like
Yeah.
family dinner, like that would make the
Yes.
world to the kids because they're just like, oh, we get to eat with the parents and talk about whatever. That's
Yes.
their unintentional time. And I'm always trying to teach them something. Like a lot of people say, "Oh, you're hard on them." And I'm like, I'm really not. I'm
Mm-mm.
stern. I have a military
Mhm.
background, so it's like I have
Okay.
that military stern, but I'm
Mhm.
teaching with love. I just want you to know this information, so I'm programming you now. And so it's been a change off of me just healing
Mhm.
and me learning about myself, but there's a lot of things from my childhood that it was just leading me in the wrong direction when it came to parenting.
Okay. So let me just go back to the childhood just for a second.
Mhm.
Your parents were fighting, doing all that, really not thinking about y'all because they were just thinking about like, I'm mad at you, you're mad at me, I'm gonna hurt you, you're gonna hurt me. What was going on in your mind? What was going on in that
Uh,
body? Like, and how old were you again?
I was like 7.
Okay, so that's 7-year-old Adam. What was
Mhm.
going? Take me back there. What was going on for
It's
him?
crazy. I thought about this the other day because my son is actually 7 now. And I was just
Mm,
like, man, this was me at this age, but I was going through a completely different life.
okay.
And back then I didn't know how to process it. I came from a very emotionless house. Like
Okay.
nobody really showed emotions. There were no like I love yous thrown around. And I didn't really realize that until a trip
Mhm.
maybe about 5 or 6 years ago. My brother was drinking and he was talking to some random people and he told me he was like, yeah, when we growing up, we didn't get I love yous, and when he said it, it hit me, and I was like, "Dang, we did it!" Like,
Mhm.
and I didn't really start getting that in my family until I had my own family. Then it's like, "Oh,
Okay.
I love you, I love you. I just want to be like." And now I'm like, ah, like
Mhm.
okay, here you go, but a little bit too much.
Yeah.
But back then, it
Mhm.
was it was just traumatic for me. It was a lot. I was a lot of anger being built up because there was times I wanted to go kick it with my dad. Like I remember my dad trying to take me and my brother to a Astros game, and my mom was like,
Okay.
"No, if you're not going to be back by this certain time, you can't go." Right.
Yeah.
And so there was a lot of like father son time that was missed. Mom was working, so now she's a single mom of like 3 boys. So that she's
Okay.
at work. She's trying to make it, trying to grind, which I respect her for. I respect both my parents for their work ethics. But I think I started to do it for myself, so now I can say they lost sight of family, right? But back then that
Yeah.
wasn't really a thing in some houses.
Yeah. And still just being in the space of like, I'm 7. I
Right.
still need y'all to say you love me. I'm 7. I need y'all to say, hey, we see
Hmm.
you. Like I need to spend time with my dad and I need to spend time with my mom. And
Hmm.
I'm over here and I'm angry. I'm upset. Did you act out at school?
Uh, yeah, but I never got caught.
You never got caught. Okay.
I
All
was
right.
sneaky.
Okay. Oh,
Um,
let's talk about that. Since nobody's watching Adam, I can do whatever I want to do. I can do this. I can go here. I can go there and be undetected.
yep. And it was like that for a long time.
Hmm.
But I was always very smart, even like through that divorce. It was so crazy. And I knew I was acting out because they actually tested me to see if I was mentally retarded because my
Oh,
grades just dropped.
there you go.
And I still have those tests to the day to this day. They're in my closet actually. But they tested me for a while. But I
Hmm.
was passing the test, and my mom even told him she was like, "He's not retarded. He just misses dad." And I'm like, now I'm looking back, I'm like, you can vocalize that, but
Right.
you didn't really help it.
Uh-huh.
And
Yeah.
so being able to be sneaky, I realized nobody was paying attention to me. There would be times I would be gone from the house for like a couple of days, and my dad would be like, "Oh, I thought you were in the room." I was like, "No, hang out with friends, doing random stuff." Like I was always doing safe stuff. I wasn't the fool, but I was
I
able
mean,
just to
that's
walk
good.
out the door and go do whatever I wanted to go do.
I'm glad you were wise enough, even at that young age, like you said, to do safe stuff.
Mhm.
However, when you said I was gone for like 2 or 3 days and he didn't notice, and he said I thought you were in the room, that made me sad.
Mhm.
Your dad thought you were in the room.
Yeah, my dad works crazy hours, so he was always like sleep, or he was at work. To this day, same thing. So his mind has always been work, work. But now,
Yeah.
how as I've been learning about mental and how your brain works, how we internalize things, I
Mhm. Mhm.
realized that's how he was programmed. So it's
Mhm.
like I can't fault him for it because that's all he knew, and
Yeah,
that's all he
for sure.
knows. But as a kid, it was just like, dang, I just want to hang out with my dad, but he don't even realize if I'm here or not.
Yeah. Or he does and he's tired and he's doing this and yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. Okay. And so growing up, um, when you showed emotion, it was anger. Um, where did you feel safe showing emotion? With who? What environment? What space? Like where did you feel
Mm,
safe showing it?
I
Since
didn't
your
really
household was
have a safe
emotionalist.
space.
Okay.
But I also didn't know to look for one. I just found
Oh.
joy in other things. Like I was playing football, and running track, so that was my just time to release. And like our
Mhm.
coaches, they poured into us. They poured into us heavy. When actually my head coach just passed away a couple months ago. So when he passed away, it hit home for a lot of us because he taught us so
Mhm.
much, and we didn't realize that we were utilizing these things throughout our lives. We were just doing
Yeah.
it, and it was that he programmed us, he poured into it. So it was that, and some of the teachers they kind of just gave light, just giving love and stuff like that. Because a lot of people didn't know that like at 16 I actually wanted to kill myself, but I didn't because I had God works in mysterious ways, even when you don't know He working, right? So
Adam, you don't get to just be dropping stuff and say and here and here and here and then keep moving on. Like, sir, I'm gonna go ahead. It was a
hey,
lot. That was a lot.
it was a lot. It goes deeper and deeper. It's just, but I've just kind of got to a good space now. But God works. He'll tell you, even when you don't know, He realize He's working. He's working. I had a
Mhm.
friend named Erica in high school. She would drive out of her way, come get me to bring her to church for her.
Mhm.
And so I would go to church, and just sports, and I just found different things just to kind of occupy my mind. Gaming, I was a heavy gamer, like all day if I
Mhm.
could.
Yeah.
Um, and then like the little trips that we would go on, of course I would go on them because who doesn't want to go on vacation, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And even in those moments, I would kind of just be festive a little bit, but I'll also be to myself.
Because it's like I don't know what to do with these emotions. Y'all didn't teach me that, and so
Right.
I don't know to feel safe or whatever. You said 16 years old, you contemplated suicide. Then you said
Mhm.
I didn't have these spaces, but I didn't know to look for them. And then you said you found joy in it. Like, yeah, God bless you. When I tell you God truly has a purpose on our lives, like all that
Hmm.
is happening, and then so where you are. All right, so I want you to tell the people a little bit or as much as you want that you
Okay.
share with me. So let's set it up for them. This happened like 2 years ago, two and a half
Okay.
years ago. And
So fast
let's
forward
just,
to
yep.
adulthood.
Yeah. Fast forward
um,
to adulthood.
Yeah, so about 2 years ago, actually, I'll go back a little bit further. So I was
Okay.
living in Atlanta for like 7 years. No, not 7 years, 6 years. And then I moved back home here to Houston. And so we started this whole journey. My wife is nervous about it. I'm just like, man, we going home. We have help. So we ended up buying our house 2 years ago. And then around May 22nd, something told me to leave my job. It got real dissatisfied. I don't know why. I'm working in IT, so I was making good money. And so I told my wife I'm leaving, and she's like, "What?" And I'm like, "I'm leaving my job." And she was like, "Well, let's prepare." And I'm just like, "No, something is telling me to leave now." And so I put my 2 weeks in and I left. So I'm like, "All right, I'll just go back to Ubering for a while, just figure it out and get another job. It's IT, I can get a job anywhere." Uh, and then fast forward to about September of that year, we're 2, 3 months behind on our mortgage because I wasn't able to find a job. Uber, you're not really making as much money on Uber, and my wife's making a teacher salary. And so I had to sell my car just so we can keep the house. And going through all these emotions, Christmas coming up, we can't even do for our kids like that. And then fast forward to about the next year, February, God tells me to tell my wife to leave her job. And during this time, we're already going through it because there's so much bills are piling up. She's looking at me like, okay, sir, it's time for you to do something. Like you're supposed to provide. And I don't give her fault for
Mhm,
that because that's what I'm supposed to be
mhm,
doing. And I
mhm,
was figuring it out. And for me, it was really hard during that time because I'm like, man, I'm supposed to be providing for y'all. I'm supposed to be protecting y'all. And I can't even keep money in the house. I'm Ubering, but that money's going to pull ups because my baby's still potty training. And if you know pull-ups, they high. They are up there. And so
Mhm.
the little money I was making was going towards the kids. And one thing I could say God did do was make sure we got a roof over our head and make sure we were fed. Because even fast forward to today, we're still in that same house. Right. And so going back, so my wife actually is like, I'll wait till the end of the year, then I'll leave, I'll leave after school year. And I'm like,
Mhm.
something's telling me to tell you to leave now. And
Okay.
so I heard
Okay.
Tim Ross talked about his story about how he left the church to start podcasting
Yep.
and how the Holy Spirit told him, um, it's not the church that needs time, it's you that need time. And when he said it, like my bones just shook. And so I was just like, I told my wife about it, and she was kind of like, huh. So maybe by like a week or two later, something said,
Yeah.
create her a 2 week notice. So I created it, sent it to her, and I was like, whenever you need this. And so she was like, ah, ha, ha, okay. So it was a
Mhm.
Thursday. Friday, she goes to work, comes back. Saturday, she goes to the store. And I work from home. So typically I'm the one who goes running errands because I don't get out.
Okay.
And so this particular day, she left. And I'm like walking around the house messing with the kids and stuff. And she calls me, I got into a car accident. I'm like, huh?
Mhm. Mhm.
And she was like, the car's not working. She was able to drive it back. When I looked at it, it was like the person hit her at the right angle to where the car was undrivable, but she was completely okay.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so that whole entire week, her boss is like yelling at her, trying to not really yelling at her because I ain't know about yelling at my wife, but
Right.
doing his boss thing, his power thing. And at one point he was threatening to fire her. And I was just like,
Oh,
send your 2 weeks in.
correct.
Because
Because
she was like,
it's
I'm
ready.
loving it. Exactly. She was like, I'm loving
Mhm.
being here. This and this. I said, send it. I attached it for her. I said, here you go. Just send it. And so we're going through the motions or whatever. And
Yeah.
she ends up talking to HR. And HR informs her that that they did not get her a 2 week notice. We sent it to him, but he didn't send it to HR. So she was like, I'll just send it to him. I said, no, send it to him like this. And I helped her through it. And she quits. So now there's no income besides the little Uber money that I'm making here and there. We're going through it. I'm struggling internally to the point to where we're on a walk and I just break down crying. And I've never cried in front of my wife before. And that was like the first time I really just broke down and I just hit the floor and released it all. But after that day, it's been a slow progression, slow progression. And at one point, God even had me breed puppies. I have a really deep love for dogs, so he had me breed puppies. My dog had 9 puppies. So we were able, our entire job was taking care of those puppies. We would wake up, put the kids on the bus, and like tend to the dogs, have them on a schedule and everything. Fast forward to May 6th, they're able to go to these different homes. And so we're getting them out the house within a week. And like we're making more money than we've had in a long time. And the last puppy that we sold was actually the last $400 that we had to go to the next level conference. And we drove from Houston all the way to Atlanta for that conference. And throughout this whole time, He's blessing us left and right. He's given us hope. Every time we would see Jeremiah 29:11, we just knew something was coming and something always came. We're in the free masterminds, we're in the free challenges, trying just to learn and how to do just be better for ourselves, right? And so we make that drive and we stop in New Orleans to see her mom, and her mom ends up giving us money. We get to New Orleans, not New Orleans, Atlanta, and my mom sends us money for a hotel room, and
Mhm.
then we're there at the conference, no money in pockets. We just spent all of our money to get here. And we're
Mhm.
just talking to people, sharing our story, like, man, this is a real faith trip for us. And just being in that room, so many people left out, went to the ATM and came back and said, here. And I was like, yo, what? Like, we had never been in, we said it too. We was like, man, we've never been in this space with this much love. People are hugging us. We just met 5 seconds ago. It's like we never been in that space.
I
And
love
so
that.
coming from a rough childhood for both of us, it was a shock. And we was enjoying every second. We had the best time. We even got baptized that weekend. We got baptized together, uh, which was the crazy all in itself because she wasn't supposed to. It was supposed to be just me.
Okay.
Because she had already been baptized when she was a kid, but like I
Mhm.
was up there praying and like I opened my eyes and she was walking on the stage and I looked at her and she was just like, I'm making the decision to do it again because the first time I was a kid and I didn't have the decision. And I was like, okay,
Okay.
cool.
Yep. That
And
makes
so we
sense.
end up getting back tied together. We come back. We learned so much at the conference, just like healing and how to just implement into our businesses and stuff. And we get back and like we start to pray, God, like please remove the things out of our lives, remove
Mm.
the people, anything that's blocking us. And then within that hour, people started falling out. We started falling out with people left and right. Like, okay, things just money just started coming. It was that was the light to it. But
Yeah.
throughout that process, it was a lot of like crying, a lot of arguments, just lost hope. But God always gave us light throughout the whole thing.
So for a person that comes or is raised in a home that is no emotion,
Mhm.
God said, "Oh, I'm gonna give you some things where you gonna show
He gave
some
me some
emotion."
things.
It was like, and this and this and this and that.
I'm gonna
Hmm.
make it come out of you.
Make it come out. First of all, thank you for sharing that.
No problem.
I know, I can imagine, I can't say I know, I can imagine as a man, and that's how I know that you're comfortable with who you are. Because as a man, when you share things like that, it can be very, like a vulnerable place. Like, oh, I really couldn't provide like I wanted
Right.
to. I mean, we were struggling. And, society, a lot of women will look at like, you can't even take care of your family. So the fact that you would even share that, because you know how we do.
Hmm.
You ain't no man, can't even take care of your
He
family. Only
broke.
think about, exactly,
I don't like no broke
exactly,
bums, all that.
exactly. All that scrub, you a scrub. Um, all those things. But the fact that you came and shared that, thank you. And I know somebody is going to hear that and be like, dang, he's able to share that. I appreciate that.
Mhm.
Do you see your wife being your space of solitude, comfort, support? Like, do you is she that for you?
Yeah. How about to say God actually me coming from an emotionless house like that, God probably gave me the most emotional woman on the planet on the because for her it's like, nope, show those emotions. Like you nope, no, I need these emotions. I need it. I need it. So it's forcing me to come out of my comfort zone and say, okay, this is how I feel about things. Um, but we have developed a safe space within each other throughout this entire time. We've been through a lot together. We've lost a child together. We've been through things, so it's kind of you naturally get that safe space between each other.
Hmm. Naturally, yes, if you allow it. If
Yeah.
you allow it, because you can be married, you can be in a space, you can be in a
Hmm.
relationship, you can be in a partnership, and you still don't feel safe.
Yeah. It took,
So,
it actually did take me a while because of everything that had happened before.
mhm.
And especially relationships. I've been cheated on. I've have all these things happen to me. So it's when I got with her, it was kind of like, okay, we'll try this again, but I don't know. So
Yeah.
it took
So,
me a
what was
while.
the turning point? What was the turning point for you?
I don't, it was just kind of just happened, honestly. It
Hmm.
was just kind of just over time. I've always been that person of open minded. So I'll try something and then
Yeah.
just see how it is over time and just let it slowly build up.
Okay.
So it was just over time. It was just a lot of things that were happening, how we were bouncing back. And just we've always grown. We've That's one thing we've done since we got together was grown. We started off changing our diet from the things that we were eating. Like we just
Yeah.
every time we're always trying to figure out how to grow more.
I love that. I love that. And so now you have been together for how long?
We have been together, like 9 years.
Yeah,
Next month we'll actually be married 7.
that's awesome. How many Adams has she been married to in 9 years?
I'm a lot. She has been a lot of Adams,
Mhm.
and I told her all the time. I'm like, I know I'm not easy. Sorry, but she knows. But she can see me like I'm learning. I'm unlearning a lot of things,
Yeah.
and that's why I started to write that book. I actually titled it "How to Unlearn the Things You Shouldn't Have Learned."
Oh yeah.
And so, because I'm going through that process, I'm unlearning to this day. Even with
Hmm.
my son, I had to have a real vulnerable conversation with him and let him know, like, man, when we were coming up, we got whoopings. Like, and I would tell him like stitches, extension cords, everything. He
Yeah.
looked at me and was like, that doesn't even make sense. I
Right. It
said,
was like, what is
right,
that? Hmm.
right. Like, why are you getting whooped with that? He understands
Yeah.
like the belt, but
Yeah.
like the other stuff is like, okay. And I told him, I said, man, we all make mistakes. I said, a
Yeah.
lot
We
of the
do.
things that we learned as parents we shouldn't have learned, and now
Yeah.
we're trying to learn ways to be better for you. And he took the conversation well. His behavior like completely with a 180 after that
Hmm.
conversation. And it's like, man, in that vulnerability, that's where the growth happens.
That is, isn't it? And
It is.
it's like we fight it, but the minute we're like, let me just be vulnerable. Okay, I just and you're like, oh,
Yeah, it's easier.
that's what
It's
that's
easier
so
just to
now
tell it.
I can learn. Now I can grow.
Hmm.
I want to ask you this and then I want to go to your book. So it's your mom and your dad, are they still around? Are they in your life at all? Do you allow them to be in your life? And do you
Oh
allow them
yeah,
to be in your children's lives?
yeah.
Okay.
I didn't have my grandparents. I'm at the all my cousins. I'm the exact last one,
Okay.
and so my mom's dad. I didn't get to meet him because he died right before my brother was born.
Okay.
And then both of my grandmothers died when I was young, and then my last grandparent just died maybe 3 years ago.
Oh my
And
God.
so
I'm
he was the
sorry.
only one that I really knew. And so I didn't really have that relationship with my grandparents. So, and my
Mhm.
wife did. My wife and her grandparents are close to this day. Like anytime their birthdays come around, you could tell she's always gonna be a little bit sad.
Yeah.
And so I wanted that for my kids. Like go spend time with your grandparents and learn from them. Don't learn the bad stuff, but learn from
Right.
them.
But learn from them.
And just
Yeah.
make that bond because I didn't get to have that. So it's like go experience it.
Yeah. And parents are different with their grandchildren anyway. I think about that.
Oh
Like I
yeah.
think about my parents and then I think about like my nieces and nephews and everything. I'm just like,
Mhm.
where was that person when we were growing up?
Had all this
We
parental
didn't we
wisdom.
didn't right? Like we didn't have them. Y'all have patience now. Like
Who
what's
are
up with
you?
that? Like exactly. It was like, where's my mom? Where's my dad? Like where is that?
Mhm.
Um, tell us again the title of the book and then go into the reason you wanted to write this.
So I'm telling it how to unlearn the things that you shouldn't have learned.
Okay.
And it was a God been trying to get me to write a book for a while. That and podcasting. I started the podcasting part with the Underdog Lounge. But with the book, it took me a while to get started, but I really want to write it because I realized there's a lot of things that we learn from our childhood, just simple things of like money habits. For example, I've learned that as kids, we internalize a lot. Our brains are always picking up data, even as adults, right? And like for me, my dad, I would ask my dad for money. He'll always say, "I don't have money," not
Mhm.
knowing that that was programming me as a little boy to think that, oh, men don't have money.
Mhm.
And so
Yeah.
I would always get money. Like that's one thing I could always do is hustle up some money, right? um,
Yeah.
and even during that time where we didn't really have anything, I was selling weed, I was selling puppies, like I was doing what I had to do, right?
Yeah. For sure.
Until I realized like, okay, the weed part had to go, but the rest of it could stay.
Yeah.
And so like with that, I even learned, oh man, men don't have money. So I would get money, but I would always spend it because I
Mhm.
believed
Mhm.
internally that I didn't need it or I didn't have
Yeah.
it. And so there's different aspects of our lives that we really learn from our parents, and it's highlighting those things. Let's help people to highlight them and to fix them.
Yeah.
And so that's the purpose of the book is just to help you figure out the issues, the root cause of the issues, because sometimes it's surface level. You're thinking it's surface level, but it's deeper than that. And just
Mhm.
kind of help with healing.
Yeah. So is it more of a self-help? Is it like an interactive? Is it like a memoir? Like what would you say is it more like
So it's going to be more of like an interactive self help
okay.
because I want to put together a workbook as well
Hmm.
that they can work through. And then coach with me coaching. Anybody who wants to sign up with coaching with me can.
Absolutely. We're gonna talk about
Uh,
that too.
yeah, they can sign up with coaching with me, and then it just help them through the process. Just kind of coach and
Hmm.
teach.
Hmm. How did you get into coaching?
God. So coaching for me, I didn't after I left the job, I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. Right. I
Okay.
was like, man, there has to be something else. That's how Journey is on my phone yelling at me because I'm on Instagram scrolling and it's this
Hmm.
light skinned bald head man just keep yelling at me. And I'm just like,
Hmm.
all right. So I'm listening, I'm starting to join the trainings. And I just told my wife, I said, I think I'm supposed to be a coach or like
Okay.
a coach or speaker. And well, it was speaker first. So I started
Mhm.
that process. Then as I'm going through it, I was listening to CJ Queenie, and he said to find your purpose, look at what you're good at that's hard for everybody else, but
Mhm.
and what people come to you for. So I
Yeah.
sat there and I thought about it. I said, man, everybody comes to me for health tips. all the time. To this day, my friends will call me and be like, "Hey, I want to do this healthier. What should I do? I know y'all eat
There you
healthy over
go.
there." And so I was like, "Man, health coach." Right. And so I've been doing it for some months now. I'm
Mhm.
actually working to get certified now. I'll be certified in like 3 more months.
Okay.
And so it's just been a journey I just tried. I'm actually enjoying it because like I'm already doing this anyway. So I might as well make a business out of it and help more people.
Exactly. And because you know, you experienced it. And that's
Hmm.
the reason why people come to you.
Hmm.
So
And a
look
lot
at,
of people
go ahead.
think that, as a lot of people think that when you say health is just what you eating and you're exercising, not realizing that your health is your complete diet. That is everything, your spiritual life, mental life, all these different aspects.
Yeah.
And I have a client now that I help, and I was telling her that I was like, man, you have to change your mindset. Like, let's think these things through. Have the emotions of it, but let's think logically about it. All right, now let's work on your physical health. Get in the gym every day. And we
Right.
had a cadence. If she feels lazy to this day, she'll call me and be like, hey, I need motivation to get up. Like, let's go. Come on. Because me and my wife, we get up at 4 a.m. to go to the gym
Hmm.
every morning.
Hmm.
And
That's
so,
discipline.
yeah, it's hard too. I don't lie
Hmm.
to you, it's
I
hard.
know, but it's
Uh,
discipline.
yeah, because there's days I just lay there and I'm like, man, I don't want to get up, but I'll be like, "Oh, I have to." And so that's been a reoccurring thing. But this particular
Hmm.
client, I've been helping her in all aspects. And now she's getting it, she just got into the career field that she wanted to get into. And with no experience prior. She's making way more money, which money was a big problem for her. Healthy, she was way healthier, her skin's going up. And
Yep.
actually she just told me the other day, for the first time since well before high school, her lungs is using 100% capacity.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when she told me that, I said, "Okay, God, I see what you did here. Like you were cooking up something when you did this." And now I'm like, "All right, let me get into the business of it and really set it up and start helping people." So my plan is to start taking more clients starting next month.
Yeah. Okay. So that's the thing. So right now, um, are you taking clients or are you at a standstill until next month?
I'm at a standstill until next month. I
Okay.
have my
Okay.
client I'm working with,
Okay.
um, and then I'm structuring my business a little bit more before I add people into it because I don't want to add
Mhm.
people into mess.
Mhm. Mhm. I understand. This is good. This is real good from a person like oh, like God is all in your life. Like I love that for you.
I
All in
accept
it because
that. Received.
yeah, we see because again, growing up the way you grew up in a domestic violent home, dysfunctional.
Mhm.
Is that okay?
Yep,
Dysfunctional. Okay.
I say it all the time.
Okay. A dysfunctional household, different siblings here, you over
Mhm.
here, mom not saying I love you, dad not saying I love you, you leaving the house, they don't even know you're gone, you being sneaky, you do it, you this, you that, not showing emotion, then coming to the point of your life when you're 16 and you don't want to live anymore, and then you marry your wife. I mean, I know we skipped around, but then you have your wife, and then you have children, and then now you're helping people. Like it's your life truly is a
It, it,
testimony. It
it
truly. It's
it
like,
changed a
see,
lot.
this is. You could be a statistic, however, you're not. It's
Right.
one of those.
And this is just the beginning. God
It
is
is.
just starting. So, and it's crazy because throughout the entire process of like us not having money and stuff, there'll be times that I'll go out in Uber and God will always put somebody in my car to speak life into me. I've had random people just pray over me in the car. I'm just like, okay. And I had a lady, I was taking to her and her daughter, I was taking to the airport and
Yeah.
I took them to their hotel first. And they was like, hey, can we just pay you to take us to to the airport? Instead of going through Uber. And so we did that whole thing. And while we were going, we ran into unusual traffic. And so I'm
Hmm.
sitting there and it was like, man, when did it start raining? All this traffic here. And then the lady just starts talking to me and telling me how God is going to make all of my enemies bow down to me and just have this real anointing over my life and how things are going to get turned around for me. And I was like, after incidents like that, I'll be like, oh, I'm done driving for the day. I have no more desire to be out here. And usually by that time, I made enough money to get what we needed. So it was like God was using those days to kind of bless me and speak life into me. And to
Hmm.
the point to what was it, Thanksgiving? Or was it Christmas? It was Christmas. We walked into my wife's aunt's house, and one of her cousin's wives looked at us and she was like, "Man, y'all look real blessed in the spirit." I was like, "Oh." okay. And I had to think back and I was like, man, we have been through a lot.
Yeah.
Got into church, getting baptized, like all these
Mhm.
different things. It definitely was a 180.
Mhm. Mhm. God can use anyone that doesn't feel worthy or that people
Mhm.
think are not worthy. And he is
Yeah.
definitely using you for sure. Don't take it for granted. Don't take anything
Mhm.
that you go through for granted. I don't know if you've ever thought about like, why is this happening to me? As we learn, as we grow, things happen
Mhm.
for us, not to us.
Yep.
And like what you shared today and things that you haven't shared, like all of that is not in vain. Not one thing.
Mhm.
Not one thing is in vain. So you are definitely helping. I do want to ask this um, for those that you want to help in the future. For those, it's men and women, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Anybody who wants help.
Anybody that wants help, that's good. However, this podcast is men crying the core. Okay. But for the men that come to you, what would you tell them? Because as you said before, men are supposed to be hard, men are supposed to be this, men are supposed to be that. Like, how would you make them feel comfortable working with you?
um, Outside of sharing a little bit about myself to let you know, like, hey, I've been through it too, or that I've had similar experiences. More so just the reassurance of this is a safe space. Um, Whatever you talk about here is like I'm here to help you. It's about you and your journey, not about me.
Mhm.
So it's more so you're gonna have the answers sometimes before I have the answers, right? I might
Mhm.
not even know the answer, but you might know it just by speaking it out to me.
Mhm.
But just know that your current circumstances doesn't define the rest of your life. We have so much to learn, there's so much to give, and I don't think we stop learning or healing until we hit the dirt,
Yeah,
right? So it's take it slow. Let's just work through one thing at a time because it's those little one bricks that builds the house, not a wall of bricks at the same time.
for sure. For sure. So Adam, say someone connects with you through, the live or the replay, and they say, I heard him say he wasn't taking anybody. I heard that, and I respect that. But there's something about his story. There's something about his energy. There's something about his personality. It's something about Adam. I just need to work with him. How do people
Mhm.
contact you? How do people reach out? Because you just never know. It may be that person say, you know what, brother, I respect you and everything, but I need you.
Yeah. So
How do they reach out?
you can reach me at the Adam Wilson underscore on Instagram. You can also reach out to my podcasting page, which is the Underdog Lounge Pod on Instagram. Also, the Underdog Lounge Pod on YouTube.
Yeah, and then that book that you are getting ready, that you are writing, when do you think that'll be available for us?
I want to get it available by my birthday in June, so I'm
June.
having to push to get it going.
Okay, so we're looking for like a June
Yeah,
release.
that's my
Okay.
birthday gift to myself.
Okay, I love that. And so, where would it be available?
I will have it available on Amazon, and then I'm actually creating my site now. So once my
Hmm.
site is up, it'll be on there as well.
Okay, and please share that site with us as well because we can come back and put it here. We can share. I can share it anywhere on this platform, so that'll be good.
Okay.
So now, Adam, let me ask you this. I ask men when they come on, but I'll ask this way for you. Um, you're in a place where you're starting to feel very comfortable sharing your
Mm.
emotions, because your wife helps you with that. Um,
Right.
if there was a person watching right now, say there was a wife watching, or there was a young man watching, or just a man of any age, and he's like, "Man, I just stumbled up on this podcast. I don't know what to do. I'm having a hard time. I just can't make it. I can't talk to my wife. I feel like I'm out here by myself." What
Mm.
encouraging words would you have for him?
Oh, you're actually never alone. Sometimes we feel alone, but we're actually never alone. Somebody may not be there with you physically, but you got your spiritual father who's always going to be there no matter what. And those, like back to my story, was the suicidal thoughts. Nobody knew. People are just now finding out 15 years later, 15, 16 years later. And that you're never alone. God is always with you. He's always has a plan for you. He's going to protect you, even without you knowing it. So, if those times when you feel lonely, open up the good book or just get on your knees and start praying.
Yeah, because we need to hear that. And sometimes men don't want to hear women talk. I know that.
Sometimes, yeah.
Sometimes they want me to shut up. I know that. I'm cool with that. I understand. So
Right.
that's why I'm glad I can have guests like yourself that come on and you can just share a word, understand, so they can hear men speak because men know how to talk to other men.
Hmm.
Y'all know how to talk to other men, and we appreciate that because we need to start listening to y'all more.
Yeah.
I know
But
I
it's
know a lot of women are not going to admit that, but we need to start listening to our men more for various reasons because they want to. Hey, spoiled brother. They want to. Y'all want. Yeah, I have my brother's on. He's spoiled for real. Um, you want to be heard. You want to be seen. You want to be valued. You don't want to be ignored. Like you want to be appreciated. And so, women, let me talk to y'all. Start listening to your brothers. Start listening to your husbands. Start
Mhm.
listening to your cousins, your nephews, your uncles. Like, start listening because they have something to say. We're missing out when we don't listen to them. You know, they're not just always going to be an authority figure or they're not always just going to be aggressive. Like, men can be soft. And there's nothing effeminate about a man showing a softer side. We all have masculine and feminine energy. There's nothing
True.
effeminate about that. So,
Hmm.
and allow that loved one in your life to feel safe to cry in front of you, to say he's not okay. You know, all the things that men want to say. Like, it's okay.
Hmm.
Let him know that he's not a punk, he's not a this, he's not a that by showing you that. So I just need to get on my soapbox a little bit because I do it very well. But I think other women need to learn to do that. Like it is nothing wrong with men sharing their feelings, like nothing at all.
Hmm.
You know, because y'all matter. You matter so much. So Adam, thank you so much for being here with me. Any last words? Anything you want to say before we close out?
No last words. Even in those situations, I know I'm not really taking clients right now, but if it's like
Mhm.
those dire situations, you want to reach out to me, feel free to reach out to me, DM me. I'll never turn away people God want me to help. And so that's really all I have. Make sure you guys follow me. Just check out the podcast as well. I have some great conversations going on there.
For sure, for sure. And if you can, I'm gonna take you down, but if you can you like put your podcast in there because I want them to be able to see that and catch that. Okay, don't
Okay.
leave. Okay, I want to end and then I'll come back and talk to you. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you so much for being here. I
Uh,
really appreciate you.
No problem.
Hey everybody. So again, another successful episode of Men Cry in the Car podcast. Like I love y'all. Thank y'all for coming on. I want to be again. Okay, we can bring you back on. Um, y'all already know. Y'all already know. Y'all know what I say. Men, 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 I see you, I hear you, and I support you. Till next time.